Hello and welcome to Rams Talk Podcast. We're here after a very, very entertaining 1-1 draw with Salford City. It was so good that Jamie fell asleep halfway through. So hopefully the podcast can be a little bit more entertaining. We've got a lot to talk about despite there being no transfers. And yeah, looking forward to it. I've got three fantastic lads with me today. First of all, Jamie Page, how are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm good. I missed about 10 minutes, I think. So I had a bit of a power nap during the first half. So you'll have to not ask me questions about that 10-minute period if you may.
I'll definitely try my best. And we've got Adam Titley. How are you, Adam?
I'm good, mate. Had to watch the highlights to catch up. Unfortunately, missed the game, but I'm sure I'll be able to talk about a few things anyway.
Good man, good man. We're not usually honest about that here, so it's good on you, good on you. And last but certainly not least is Callum Bucock. How are you, pal?
I'm all good. I actually only caught it because of a Twitter notification. I forgot it was an 11 o'clock kickoff English time. So that's the only reason I've got some common information coming into this.
Yeah, not defeated by the time zones this week, which is good, which is very good. Before we get on to Salford, there's a couple of things we want to talk about very, very quickly. We talked about it a little bit last week. Jason Knight's obviously officially gone. Callum Wilson's officially come in. Wilson looks to be a really good signing. We saw a little bit about him, so we can talk about that. But Jamie, I mean, what's your reaction to the transfers?
Yeah, I think we knew Knight was off, didn't we? We knew it was going to happen, and not surprised to see it happen in the end. Surprised it was Bristol City in the end. If I'm brutally honest, I know that I think a couple of other teams were mentioned, and the last I heard, I think Ipswich were having a go. So yeah, I'm glad he didn't go there. In all honesty, but it's interesting to see what happens to him. I know he scored on his official debut. Friendly debut, so that was interesting because he couldn't seem to put the ball in the back of the net for us. But yeah, it was time for him to move on. I wish him all the best, and I think, like you said there, I'm sure we'll talk a bit about Callum Wilson, but looks like a player that wants to get his career back on track, and he's got a lot of key components of his game that will really, I think, attract Paul Warne. And on that, I absolutely loved what Paul Warne said to him when he met him. Not only the woo that he needs to, I think, get a certification for the Paul Warne woo.
You're all right.
It's because I'm hearing the background noise, and then on the side of my screen I can see Jake go. Jake's got mute. And I'm like, is that me? But yeah, he's a Paul Warne kind of player, and I absolutely love that. Paul Warne said, "Thanks for trusting us with your career." So, yeah, I'm loving Paul Warne at the moment.
Yeah, it does seem like a match made in heaven so far, doesn't it? And yeah, for listeners, you got a bit of a behind the scenes there. Got some nice reverberation coming from Adam's mic, but it'll be all right. It'll be fine. Adam, I mean, Jason Knight, we spoke about it last week. We love him as a guy. He probably wasn't the best player for his last season, but he's a top bloke and he'll definitely be missed behind the scenes. And Callum Wilson comes in. He comes in with a really strong CV. It seems to be a good swap, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think one player out that's going to do well for Bristol City, I think everybody knows, I was a big Jason Knight advocate. It went down well when I compared him to Will Hughes on Twitter the other day. Everybody seemed to love that. But Callum Wilson looks a great player. Excelled in League Two for Forest Green. If I'm correct, like 14 odd assists or something from right wing back. So a top talent. I think it's a good deal for both sides. And hopefully Callum Wilson can stay injury free and we get the best out of him.
Yeah, I hope you're right. And he did struggle with injury at the start of last season. And Callum, I guess, does that concern you a little bit? We bought a player in. You made a couple of comments about, he might not look completely match sharp yet. Does it worry you that, he's spent a long time on the sidelines? He's really struggled with fitness for a while. Do you think he can get back to his best?
I think he will eventually. He's got the makings of it, and you see glimpses of it. I think for him, it'll just might be a slow build, but he's not coming in potentially to be a straight swap within the starting 11. Obviously, it depends on the fitness of Ward and Elder, but I think he'll be more of a competition for places. He's young and still got that hunger, and he's shown at Forest Green that he can pull up the trumps within the EFL. So I'm happy with how he got on. It's just a case of going from there.
Pull up the trumps.
Yeah,
that's a phrase I've never heard before. Let's hope whatever it means, he can do it. It sounds positive.
That's Birmingham. That is. That's Birmingham.
So just looking at some other performers, or some performers on Saturday, Jamie, the player that impressed me quite a lot, and I posted about it on Twitter, was Max Bardell. He played on right wing back. He played on the right side of a back three. I think he looked pretty good in both. I think he probably edged it a little bit at centre half. I think he, he's not the most attacking player we've seen playing that sort of position, but he looked really good, didn't he? He, especially considering, he's another one. He's suffered with injury. He's coming to the first team, and he's definitely made an impact.
Yeah, and that's what we love to see. I think this time of year, we like to see those players making the step up, albeit over the last couple of years, we've not had as many people go and train with the first team on these camps or kind of pre-season. But yeah, I think he looks good. He looks solid. I think having Paul Warne around him and having the senior players will only, bring him on as a player. Who knows if we're going to see him in the, in League One, in the league. Maybe we'll see him in the cup competitions, the Papa Johns, or we might see him go out on loan and get some experience that way. I think potentially there's a couple there that probably need a loan move. The likes of, Thompson, Bardell, Radcliffe in the middle as well. He looks quite sharp, and Brown up top as well. I think that there's a kind of a catchment of players, and I think maybe one of them could stay and maybe fight and probably be that last spot on the bench. But then I think everyone else needs to probably go out or play kind of under 21s football to continue their growth. But yeah, I was really impressed with him. Looks strangely like Sibley again. So we're going to have that whole thing of Harvey White, Sibley, Max Bardell. Anyone with blonde hair just looks like Sibley. So yeah, I suppose there's that.
Oh man, and Adam, I mean, something we've seen in the last two games is that link up between a lot of the younger players, and Bardell played well, and JB picked up before we started recording. Robinson also had a really strong game. I think it's probably helping the younger lads, isn't it? That we've got a lot of them in the first team at the minute. They're sort of coming through together. They know each other's games already. It seems to be playing a role in enhancing their ability, doesn't it?
I think it's always handy when a couple of youth players come through together, like you said, the experience that they have playing with each other. It's good that a couple of them have first team experience already. Thompson obviously played a couple of games for us coming off the bench mainly. Obviously he got the loan out to Scunthorpe last season. I think Darren Robinson's having a great start to pre-season, really, his first sort of experience in around the first team. I agree with Jamie, really. I think we're going to see a couple go out on loan. I think Liam Thompson, I know he's still only young, but I saw someone mention this and I slightly agree. Maybe it's his not make or break season, but this is sort of the season where he really has to kick on. We've seen him come into the first team here and there. He looked good under Rooney, I think it was, when he started to get some appearances off the bench. Went on loan to Scunthorpe. I know he didn't do too well there, in my opinion, from what I heard. So really, I think this season he's really got to grab his opportunities and really run with them, because I think it's not make or break, but then as new young players start coming through, and if Thompson isn't performing, he's not getting any younger. I know he's still very young, but I just think really needs to kick on this season. He's looked good so far through pre-season, so hopefully Liam Thompson can kick on, because I know there's quite a good player in there, really.
Well, it's interesting, and this is a great opportunity for me to, flaunt my vast footballing knowledge, because a few weeks ago we had a conversation about Liam Thompson, and I remember explicitly saying, I have a feeling in the future he's going to end up as a fullback, right? And next game, we turn up and Liam Thompson is playing at wing back, and he actually put in a pretty strong performance as well. Callum, I mean, I know we've obviously diverted slightly off the topic, but he's a weird player, isn't he? I think, as Adam says, it is a bit of a make or break season for him. I think it's probably the same with Louis Sibley. And, I think a couple of the younger lads that are sort of getting towards 21, 22, this is the time where they need to break through, because if they don't break through now, you can't see them having a future with the club. Is there anyone in particular that you think will have a breakthrough season this season?
I think we've kind of touched on him in a couple of points. I think Darren Robinson is the one that stands out for me out of the lot. I think he's just settled in very, very quickly into the first team setup. And I appreciate it's only pre-season, but I think he's just impressed me that much. I think Thompson did really well at wing back. I do think Warren does like him. He puts a shift in, and he's got a lot of energy, which is what Paul Warren loves. It's just where that fits in within the system, because I think over the wing backs that he's brought in, I can't see him getting in a starting position. So whether he's going to be a backup for that or he looks into the central midfield, I just think the physique of him, bless him, just hampers him in that sense. So there is a couple of players that we can all touch on, but I think there'll be maybe one or two that will surprise us this year that might stay around the first team longer than we think.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right. We don't want to call back to our previous owner again, but he wanted a 50% academy team, didn't he? So you never know if they all hit form at once.
One or two.
One or two will be perfect. We've got a comment from Graham Doyle, who's part of the Irish Rams, who are a bunch of legends. Guys, is there any news on strikers? Wish there was, because that's a topic I've got written down. We might as well go on to it now. Jamie, the only link that I've seen is Matty Godden from Coventry. Again, I think he'd be a fantastic sign. I think we spoke about it last week, actually. We need a striker, don't we? I think, when we played Collins up top, and I'm desperate for Collins to succeed, we just look completely lifeless. I can't remember us having a chance apart from that fantastic overhead kick and the shot from about 20 yards when they made a mistake. I can't remember us getting a proper opportunity at all. We need a striker, don't we? That's as simple as that.
We do, and I think we need a natural striker, because I don't think we have a natural striker among the players there at the moment. You've got James Collins, who, for the life of me, I don't know what kind of striker he is, whether he's a poacher, whether he's off the shoulder, whether he's a target man. I don't actually think he's any of those. Colin Washington's coming in. Obviously, we know he works hard, but not a lot else. Mendez-Laing, Barkhuizen, not really strikers, not really going to get you the goals that are going to fire you into the playoffs and kind of above. So, yeah, it's interesting to see what happens in that regard, because I definitely think we're going to miss goals. And looking out there, I know it's pre-season, it's Salford's, it's 40 degrees, whatever it was. But I still looked at that squad and thought, who there is going to score over 10? Who there is guaranteed to score over 10, 15 goals? Who's going to win us games? And sometimes it's not about working hard. Sometimes it's about a moment of brilliance. And yes, we had that in McGoldrick last year. It might not have worked out for McGoldrick even if he stayed, but I still feel we need somebody that's got the ability to grab a game by the horns, dig us out of some holes, and score really when we're not playing well. Because that will definitely happen. We're not going to... I've seen, a lot of the bookies and a lot of people saying, Derby are favourites, they're going to go straight up. And I don't think it's as easy as that. And I do think we are a couple of players short. So, yeah, I'm definitely asking the same question as that comment there. When are they going to come in and who's it going to be?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? And as we all know, strikers are the hardest things to recruit in football. Goals win you games. They cost the most the majority of the time. And they're the hardest to identify. It's hard to get a striker in. Otherwise, we probably have one by now. Adam, I was going to talk about it later. We might as well talk about it now. Jamie touched on the forward players that we have. And I think Nathaniel Mendez-Laing's quite an interesting one because he played on the wing last season. He had a little stint at wing back. We seem to be playing a 3-4-3 at the minute, which suits him perfectly, coming in off that right-hand side or coming in off the left. He played for Guatemala in the Gold Cup, set up 2 really good goals. He came back, been on the pitch about 5 minutes, scores straight away, did something that we've wanted from Collins for a long time, which is make that back post run. Make the run into the box, cause the defenders to lose their man and score. I mean, I have a feeling that he could be a really big player for us up front this season. I think playing in a forward position where he doesn't have to worry about defending quite as much, and with someone like Washington doing the work around him, he could be quite good. And if he can replicate the finishing from the start of the season or started last season, he could score loads of goals. What do you reckon?
I think he's going to get more goals than what he did last season. He had a good return last season. But then also with him making those back post runs, you mentioned that he might be in a bit more of a free attacking role than defending. I think it might be the opposite, really, with Paul Warne, especially with the signings of Callum Wilson and Joe Ward, because them players seem like they're going to want to overlap a lot. And if we've got Mendez-Laing in such a free attacking role, we're going to be very exposed down the right-hand side, especially if Paul Warne either adopts 4-3-3 or 3/5 at the back, however you want to view it with the wing-backs. I think Mendez-Laing playing up front is definitely an option towards the latter stages of matches in the season. I think with his pace and his skill, that could be a really valuable asset. And you mentioned the late back post run that he made. Horahan put it on a plate for him in that game against Salford. But I do agree that we need another striker. And me personally, I think we need an added injection of pace. I think we saw flashes of it last season with the younger players. I know obviously they were only on loan, and Asula and Dobbin with their added pace, it did really help towards the latter stages of games. And they complemented each other quite well when they played together. And I think we're not going to adopt a two up front sort of formation at any point this season. I think we will primarily go with wingers and one up front. But McGoldrick last year had pace, and obviously he couldn't run for 90 minutes, but he definitely had pace. So we just need that injection of pace with Collins's hold up play.
I tell you what,
pace.
mate. If whoever we bring in has the pace that the person messaging you at the minute has,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, someone's typing it at lightning speeds. But no, I do agree. I think pace is really important. We've not had it for a while. Even when you think of when we were with Rooney, we had Plange up front, he wasn't rapid. Gazim Richards up front, he wasn't rapid. Waghorn wasn't quick. Marriott was quick over about 3 yards, but he wasn't quick overall. I think we've not had a really pacey striker for a while, and that was probably partly why I was thinking Mendez-Laing could be the answer there. But an out-and-out striker, as Jamie said, is definitely needed. And Callum, I mean, we've spoken about people coming in. If we didn't bring a striker in, let's say we had to settle with what we had right now, who would be your front two or front three? Just like putting you on the spot, mate. That's all.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I'd probably go, if it was a two, I'd probably go James Collins and Connor Washington. I think you got the two strikers there. If they both fit, then you probably put them up top together. If it was part of a three, then you're looking at like a Mendez-Laing, Collins, and then I don't know with the third, because as I say, we haven't got like with how Paul Warne plays it, it's not really wingers. So you're normally looking at like one of the centre mids, maybe going into more of an attacking role, maybe a Sibley or someone like that. Because the emphasis is on the wing backs in a Paul Warne system. So I do think we do need more attacking options. And by the sounds of Paul Warne's maybe thinking one or two before the end of pre-season. It's just how they shape up. Are they strikers? Are they attacking midfielders and creative midfielders? And are they full transfers, or are we looking into the loan market at a Championship club or a Premier League club? I don't know. That's probably where you're probably going to get a young, pacey a player like a Dobbin or anyone like that.
Yeah, and I do think that's true. And what I think is that if you're going into the loan market, especially for a striker, I don't really like that. I mean, I don't like it when we have to rely on a striker that's coming from somewhere else, because let's say we do go up, or we do end up near the top of the table, we have to replace them again next season. And how many times do we, have a season and have to replace them over and over again? So I know what you mean. I think we need to bring in a striker on a permanent, which I know is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, I think when you look at maybe like Aston Villa this season when they went up in the Championship, they have Tammy Abraham from Chelsea, and they've gone straight up and they've then they had to replace him with like an Ollie Watkins and stuff like that, but and gone that way. But I'm saying, and that's a different entity to where we are. But I think you're going to struggle getting that 20 goal a season striker maybe on a permanent at this level. It's just a case of you just need a player that can do that, and wherever they come from, whether that's on loan or a free or a full transfer. Because I mean, some strikers that have gone round to the clubs in and around the market. I mean, Burton Albion have got Carl Stockton, and he's bagged already within pre-season. So they are out there. It's just trying to find them.
Yeah, that is true. Although what I will say, I was speaking to a Tranmere fan the other day, and he was saying that Cole Stockton was one of the worst strikers he's ever seen at Tranmere. Like he was so average, and he had that one good season at Morecambe, and then he wasn't too great last season. So I think I do agree. It is weird. You see the likes of Burton bringing in someone that's clearly a talented player. Although my mate would disagree. It makes you think, what are Derby doing? And it looks like Sam Smith's going elsewhere as well. And he's another one that people have mentioned as going to Derby too. So you've got to think that Warne's got a plan, haven't you? Or his recruitment team's got a plan. We must have someone we want, because I refuse to believe that we're going into next season with, Collins and Washington as our front two. Yeah. So, yeah,
exactly.
It'll be a weird one. Jamie, welcome back, mate. Where did you go? Oh no, he's completely
when he's
frozen.
still there.
Yeah, he's not back. He's not back. Right, Adam. I mean, there was a player that scored last week. He was involved in the goal this week, and that is Ben Radcliffe, who Jamie called Daniel Radcliffe for some reason, and got cooked for it deservedly on Twitter. I mean, you look at Ben Radcliffe. He started for Burton. We spoke about him last week. He looks like a player of real talent, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think there's a maturity about how he plays. He took his goal very well at Matlock, albeit it was only against Matlock. No disrespect to them, but it's not the standard of opposition we're going to be coming up against later on in the season. But I think Ben Radcliffe does just look very mature and very composed when he plays. He has an old head on young shoulders, if you like, when he plays. And I think with some more first-team experience off the bench, like we're going to see with a lot of younger players, I think we could have a really good player on our hands. We did well to pick him up from Burton. I'm quite surprised they released him in the first place, but they do overhaul a lot of players each summer.
I don't think they wanted to.
No, I don't think they wanted to, but I think we've got a great player on our hands. Hopefully he can fill into those sort of games in the Papa John's Trophy, in the League Cup early on.
Yeah.
And we can test his ability in a first team environment, in a competitive environment early on. And I do think we'll see a couple of our younger players currently perform well go out on loan to the top end of non-league or League Two. I think that's going to come in. So yeah, I think we've got a good player on our hands. It just depends whether he can really perform in a first team environment in a competitive match.
Yeah, well, let's hope he can. Let's really hope he can. And to be honest, we're getting really close to the end of my list, dangerously close to the end of the list. We might have to actually think of topics soon, which is bad news. But a great topic to talk about first. Jamie, welcome back, mate. Where have you been?
Thanks. I'm having some internet issues, so if I go again, just forget about me. It's been painful over the last 5 minutes.
Can you tell we do this live and don't edit it? It's very professional establishment, this is. But one thing that we all sort of spoke about is some of the team bonding that's been going on over the last week. I mean, I think I've watched probably every single video over the last week. It's been class, hasn't it? I like, I was a big fan of the swimming one where they were towing an inflatable like whale or something like that behind them, and doing the running drills which seem impossible to win for the chasing team and things like that. And team spirit seems really high, doesn't it, Callum? I mean, that's one of the things that maybe the team could be criticised for last season a little bit, was that, when things started to go wrong, it didn't seem like they stuck together maybe quite as much as they could have. Do you think it will make a big impact?
I'm all for it, and I think it will make a huge impact, because I think the way that Paul Warne instills it is very, very clever. It's subtle. It's making them do drills and hard work without them even knowing it, at making it fun. As I say, the swimming one, it just gave me World Cup 2018 vibes with the unicorn inflatable. So, but no, I think when you look at every single player interview that came out over the week while they were there, it was just constantly praise of the Paul Warne effect and how he is kind of looking at the team as more like a family, a cohesion, and Paul Warne's instilled it by making them do those little video and chats and stuff like that between players and stuff. And I said, I mean, the golf one just made me giggle. We could never give Max Bird a camera ever again, because I don't think he'd ever take up your YouTube, Adam, because I think the way he was holding it wasn't really vlogging material, was it?
No, it was funny though. It was funny. Jamie, what's been your favourite one?
Cool, it's quite hard. I do like the Kane Wilson when Warne obviously said what he said about thanks for trusting us, and he was topless screaming woo. That was pretty good. But yeah, I just have to echo what you said. I think the coverage out there has been amazing. I've seen a couple of people say, "Oh, why are we paying money to watch friendlies?" But I gladly paid that money yesterday to watch us, and that was for all of the content out in Spain. I think Rams TV are doing a fantastic job, and it's just nice to be able to see personalities and see people bonding. And if I'm honest, I don't know what you guys think about this, and I'm very strange with my ways, but I've really I'm learning to love Conor Hourihane. I think last season I just saw him as a good player, and I didn't see him a lot. I didn't see a lot else. But watching coverage of him recently, obviously he was captain yesterday. I can tell he really puts it in. He's got high standards that he also wants other people to reach as well. So yeah, he's been fantastic seeing him on all those videos. And yeah, like Callum says there, having those, I suppose, deeper than football sessions where you're actually getting to know the individual by your side and going into battle with them. And I think as much as it's important, the physical and being able to run for 90 minutes, it's also really important to mentally be there as well. And I think Paul Warne ticks pretty much all of the boxes with his team, because I think I've been impressed with everyone that's spoken from his team as well, from Richie Barker to the goalkeeping coach and the fitness coach as well. So yeah, it's all looking pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And Adam, I mean, Jamie's mentioned there, he made a really good point about the players' personalities. And, there's obviously the ones that you see on social media, but aside from that, you don't really see anything. You don't see anything about them unless they've put it out themselves. All you see is on a match day. And I think stuff like this goes a long way, doesn't it, to dispelling those sorts of rumours. You know what rumours I'm on about. There was all the talk last season, Hourihane, he hates the whole team, they all don't get on. And when things go wrong, people instantly find a scapegoat of sorts, someone that hasn't smiled in maybe 20 minutes on the pitch, and they're all of a sudden evil, and they get blamed. And we see it every single year. I mean, we saw it with Tom Ince, didn't we? Another podcast favourite. We saw Tom Ince, he doesn't smile enough, but every single manager and every player had glowing praise of him. So do you think it goes a long way to sort of settling down supporters as well as the team?
Yeah, and I think also the coverage that Rams TV have done in showing the players' personalities, it will be a snowball effect throughout the season and later on. We've got some great chants. You do wonder where some of them come from. The Aaron Cashin one especially. But it's a trickle effect really with getting the fans behind the players, and also, in every fan's eyes, football players are superstars, aren't they? They're almost your heroes and idols, but this brings them down to earth a little bit more. It's, at the end of the day, they are regular people just in a very special position, and when you get to see their personalities a bit more, you relate to them a bit more. And I'm sure we'll see many more chants come out over the season, some great ones. And it will be because of the personalities that we get to see on show. And I think the coverage has been great, like Jamie said. And it just brings them to become a little bit more relatable to us all. I'm sure a lot of us aren't professional footballers hiding away in our normal day jobs.
Whoa. Speak for yourself, Adam. Come on.
So no, it is great to see the players' personalities and just be able to almost connect with them, I would say.
Mm. And I do think the penny challenge took everyone
Yeah.
back down to earth, apart from Scott Loach, who just went, "Yeah, I'll do it in one," and then did it in one. Trying to roll a penny into a fork, which is very hard. I took me a lot of attempts when we did it at uni.
I
But
think
yeah,
it was a Euro, so it probably would have been
was
harder
it
as well.
hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Max Bird certainly had a rough time, didn't he?
Yeah.
But no, it looks like fun. And Callum, I mean, we've spoken all about the positive effects of this. There will be a couple of players that will have missed out or will have missed out. You know, the likes of Joe Ward, Tom Barkhuizen, Louis Sibley's obviously injured at the minute. How will it affect them? You know, you see, you can imagine it, can't you? All your mates go on holiday together, you know, go get really close as a group, and then they come back and you're sort of on the periphery a little bit more. Do you think it could have a detrimental effect on them, or will, you know, the rest of the team sort of bring them in when they're back?
Yeah, I think it won't injure them too much. I mean, if Ward's obviously got acquainted to him already. Yes, they might have missed out on a couple of bits, but I'm sure they get caught up to speed with some stories and etc. And it won't take them long to embed within the team and the unit. They'll probably have to. Connor Washington probably hasn't got really on board with everything yet, because obviously with his injuries had to stay at Moor Farm, so he'll probably have to do his little speech still yet to come, and that's when the bonding will come. I think when it comes to these pre-season camps, it's all about the behind the scenes message. It's not just a case of we're just going on a holiday. And although we kind of get the little glimpses where they're playing a bit of golf, going a bit of swimming, doing a little bit of a morning run, there's a lot of hard graft there. And by the looks of it, it took it out of them towards the end of the week, because there was parts of the Salford game where there was a lot of tired faces. So it was definitely not a holiday in Ibiza. So.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that, didn't we, in some of the clips? I mean, some of the running clips and little mini games they had, and it sort of came to the end. They were like, "Right, lads, end of the time," and every single one of them, their hands were on their knees, and they were sort of doubled over, just trying to, you know, get some air back in the lungs. And you know, every single player, even the fittest players, even the young lads, were really feeling it. So. Yeah, and you could tell, couldn't you? You could tell during that Salford game that a few of them maybe have run a few yards too many over the course of the week. But I mean, Jamie, we've heard so many things about a Paul Warne pre-season. It's hard to sort of discern what's fact, what's fiction. Everyone knows that. Well, it's said that he kills the players. We've seen now that he does kill the players. One of the things that we've had a problem with for a long time is, you know, sort of players running out of legs at the end of the season. Do you think all this running in hard yards will have a positive impact?
Well, you hope so. You hope it builds up natural fitness and players can go for longer. But then on the flip side of that, you don't want to see players falling down with injuries and getting 3 weeks into the season and having a long list of treatment that's required for players. So I think they'll be careful. I think, in this day and age, they know about workloads and what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. I think most importantly, though, I think the feeling that I got from watching these videos is it's not necessarily about the physical condition and, running them into the ground. It's also getting them to think about it's a team sport. And, when you're struggling, the person next to you is probably also struggling, but you both need to help each other. And one of those comments that somebody made about, what can your teammate do for you? You've got to take his breath. Or I think it was something along those lines, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like it's physical. Don't get me wrong, but then again, it's kind of entwining that mental aspect of the game as well. And there's so many positive things that come with that. It's teamwork, it's bonding, it's learning, maybe signs to know, right, Cashin's been beat over 20 yards here and looks like he's struggling. I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to work here or whatever that may be. So I think it all makes sense. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to be in that February time, that little dip, do we? We don't want to see that again. And I think if we are going to go and challenge and get what we need this year, we can't really afford to have blips of a month, 6 weeks or something like that. So yeah, I'm sure Warren's acutely aware of that, and I think he's doing all the right things. But my worry, and I'll touch wood, and I'll say I just hope one of the key players doesn't get injured from what we deem overworking their legs.
Yeah, James Collins' injury would really derail our season now, wouldn't it? So yeah, got to make sure.
Stop it.
Make sure we keep the key players fit. No, he's scoring 30 this season, I believe. This is his year.
Yeah.
This year. And Adam, I guess we've spoken all about it. We've got a game Wednesday against Chesterfield. All of the lads had minutes on Saturday. They're really tired. They're going into a game against a team that, they've made some really strong signings. Chesterfield, they look like they're going to be a massive threat in the National League this season. Do you think that the lads will have what it takes to beat a possibly fully fresh Chesterfield team?
Well, I hope so. We're in for a long season if we can't. But no, I think obviously they've worked really hard on their fitness. So hopefully they're fully fit. I think one might have said they're even close to match fit now, which is really good. But no, coming up against Chesterfield, I think this is probably going to be our best test of opposition. I know Salford. Oh, we've lost Jamie. But I know Salford. I know Salford will be up there in League Two, but I think Chesterfield, they're a promotion-looking side, so I think it's going to be a decently competitive game. I know Warren said Joe Ward should be back for the match, which is good to see. And I think we're going to get to see players that are quite close to match fit. I know we've just talked about players. Are they going to be able to last till the end of the season? I think what's great is them having such a hard pre-season is that last season we spoke so much about them not really having a pre-season. So we could blame all the legs running out on the fact that we had little to nothing of a pre-season. But now we've had such pre-season. Hopefully they do have the legs for it. One of the only players I think I worry about maybe getting injured is Mendez-Laing. He's had such a short break and played a lot of football in the summer break. I think he might need a rest around Christmas time. But I think we're still going to bring players in. So hopefully we won't be overstretching anyone's legs. But coming up against Chesterfield, I don't know if Jordan Ibe's still on trial. I'd love to see him play. Former Derby County man. But I think it's going to be a good competitive game against, let's be honest, they're pretty much League Two opposition, aren't they? Top side with some good players. So I think we're going to put out quite a strong team and maybe play it almost like a league game in terms of our mentality for squad selection.
Let's hope so, because I'm going to have to go straight from work to get there on time. So they better work hard and make it worth it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And Callum, I guess, to look after Chesterfield, we've got Forsyth's Testimonial versus Stoke at the weekend. Massive game for him, obviously. Been here for 10 years. I know the game is such a boring fixture, like so boring. But I hope people come along just to show support to Fozzie, because I think he's earned it over his 10 years here. I mean, Stoke are a championship side. They seem to be lost in the depths of championship mid-table in recent years, hence the boringness. But, can you see us getting a result, and who are you looking forward to seeing the most?
I think it's going to be a weird fixture because, as I say, when they came out, you're kind of looking at it going, yeah, it's quite a boring on paper fixture. It's nothing to set the world alight, but it's a good testing opposition that if we can get the recruitment in, that we probably pit ourselves against, obviously, if we're looking to compete at the top end of League One. I'm more looking at it going, I just want the occasion to be as great as it can be for Craig, because he deserves it. It's not just any fixture, and I think Conor Horan put it perfectly. If you haven't got a ticket, buy it, because someone who spends this long at a club doesn't really happen now. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, even if you're looking at it going, I'm not sure if I really want to go to that sort of game, are they just going to just pass it around and not really play? Just go for him, show your appreciation to him. But I do see us getting a result of some sort. I don't know about a win, but it'd be good to get back at Pride Park. I think that's the biggest thing as well.
Yeah, it will be nice to be back at Pride Park. I think it's been a really long time, hasn't it? Now,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like we haven't been there. I mean, we have, obviously, Callum, because, we're both ballers and, play that sort of
Yes,
arena.
Adam.
But,
Yeah, just
have that,
reiterating the
pal.
fact. Yeah, how's that?
But yeah, no, it'll be nice to be back. And yeah, let's show support to Fozzie and give him a good day, because I'm sure it'll be emotional for him as well. So
Yes,
that'll
definitely.
be good stuff. Good stuff. Right. I want score predictions from both of you. Chesterfield and Stoke. Give me goal scorers. I'm going to say we beat Chesterfield 1-0. I think it's going to be a Sonny Bradley header. He looked dangerous at the weekend after quite a strong debut. He looks aggressive. I like him. And then for Stoke, I'm going to say 1-1. And it's going to be a James Collins deflected, left-footed on the turn finish. Callum, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go 2-1 Chesterfield. I'll go Collins to get another one for pre-season, and I'll go again. I'll back Sonny Bradley header. I think he's going to be class from set pieces. And then Stoke, I think it'll be 1-1. I'm not really helping the fact that to go and buy a ticket, but yeah, 1-1.
Buy a ticket,
and we'll go Craig Forsyth to do a 25-yarder shot from obviously going in towards the south stand for the one, maybe the final time, because I don't know if he's going to probably get on the score sheet this season.
You did lag for a second at the start, and I thought you said Owen Bradley to score, which I think would be
why not? Why not? It's pre-season. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite as good in the air as Sonny Bradley, but
no.
Similar players though. And Adam, what do you reckon?
Chesterfield, I'll go 3-1 win. Barkhausen with a brace, and a goal from James Collins. Get him some more confidence. James Collins goals all round. And then against Stoke, 1-0 late on. Forsyth breaks into the box and hammers one into the top corner. The windmill celebration, or the Alex Pitts high knees. What a time that would be.
I'm putting a plea now. If Stoke are listening, anyone from Stoke, if it's a 0-0 and we're at the 95th minute, I want a full Villa versus Leeds situation where we just let him dribble and just go and pass it into the net. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, and he runs into a knee slide in front of the Stoke head.
Does a full Jamie Page.
Yeah, I hope we're right. But right, thank you so much to everyone for listening. This has been a slightly shambolic episode, but we've got there. We've got 40 minutes of great content out. I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you did enjoy and want to check out video content, you can find us youtube.com/@RamsTalkPod. We've been getting loads of interaction on there, which is class. And that's what we want, especially for live. If you're live and have questions and want us to talk about anything, please let us know. And other way around, if you're watching right now and you want to check out the audio stuff, it's on Apple Pods, Spotify, Rams Talk Podcast. You know where to find us by now. If you did enjoy, please do subscribe. If you're on YouTube, please do rate us. If you're on whatever you're listening on, it does genuinely make a huge difference. It pushes the pod out. We get more people involved. That's what we really want, to build a nice community. And yeah, that's it. On to 2 more games. Hopefully we'll be back after 2 wins next week. So cheers, lads.
Cheers, Jay.
Bye, Jamie.